me now. What then exactly are we hearing today, and what will it mean to some of my listeners, Minister? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, in 2019, then just 9% of people had access to gigabit-capable broadband, the best kind of broadband. Today, it's up to 70%. That is huge progress at a pace that it was way above what we were hoping for when we set those targets in 2019. So really good news. But of course, there are still 30% of people that we are working as fast as we possibly can to get to, and that pace shows that we're going to get to them as quickly as we possibly can.
Is the whole country now, the whole of the United Kingdom, in some way, shape or form connected, Minister?
Well, in some form, all bar the most remote properties are connected to broadband of some sort, and satellite can mop up the rest. But there is a lot of work to do. I'm not pretending but anything else. But as I say, the pace that's got us to where we are today is a huge sign of intent and the things that are to come.
Presumably, advance of this doesn't come cheap. What sort of money has been directed in this area, Minister?
Well, the vast majority of the money that we're announcing, of the progress that we're announcing today is coming from the private sector. What the government has done is really unleash not just Virgin Media, who've driven a lot of this progress, but also Openreach and scores of small providers up and down the country that are digging the trenches and upgrading the connections. So Project Gigabit itself is a £5 billion programme. We're announcing the first contract of that today. But the vast majority of these connections are coming from the government that has set the landscape that really encourages private investment. And that's, I think, exactly why we've delivered this pace that we have seen today.
I said at the top of our conversation, for many people it's just as important as water or power, but I need to talk to you about power or energy bills. Some people might find it strange that the government is talking about the work it's done in broadband when many people are, I think I can use the word petrified, or certainly fearful of the energy bills that are about to drop on their mat. What government help might be coming their way in that area that you're aware of, Minister?
Well, it's important, I think, that we emphasise that there has been a lot of help in that £37 billion package already. Some of that is still yet to hit people's bank accounts. But you're right to imply, of course, this is going to be at the very top of the next Prime Minister's in-tray. I would hope that they are able to continue that pattern that we've seen of helping both the most vulnerable and acknowledging that there is work to do for people who are significantly higher up the income scale as well.
And what do you think that should be? What form should that take, Minister?
Well, I think the principles that are established in the existing support, which is that, for instance, pensioners, those on fixed incomes, those on the lowest incomes, have had support up to and sometimes beyond £1,200, while other people have received £400 or thereabouts. That principle of making sure that you target help towards the most vulnerable is, I think, the thing that we should hold on to. And I'm sure that will be the approach, or that will be the effect of the policies of either candidate, because there are people, obviously, who can absorb some of these increases more than others, and I think it's right to focus on the most vulnerable.
Not in any way wanting to be dismissive of £400, but given the amount of increases, though, Minister, and we are talking in the thousands for many people. Again, £400 is a lot of money. Should you care to give it to me out of your pocket today, I'd be very grateful. But it's not really going to help that many people, is it, Minister?
Well, it's going to help everyone, 29 million households, to some extent, as you say, but it is not. It was devised when the landscape looked rather different. The new Prime Minister will confront a slightly different set of circumstances with a significantly higher energy price cap, and I'm sure that the plans that they come forward with, and I'm sure they'll come forward with them very quickly when they are put in place on Monday, Tuesday next week, then those will have to acknowledge that the circumstances are significantly more straitened than they were previously.
A couple of other issues while I have the benefit of you on the line, Minister. You may have had sight of today's Times newspaper. People struggling to heat their homes amid rising energy prices will be able to gather at art galleries, community centres and libraries, as in warm banks, as they will be called. Birmingham, Bristol, Dundee, Glasgow and Aberdeen councils are investigating this use. What does that say after 12 years of Conservative rule? Cold people have to go to the library to keep warm, Minister. That's pretty shameful, isn't it?
Well, those are initiatives put forward by local councils that are for them. What the government has to do and has done up to this point, and will continue to do in the future, is make sure that people have got the resources to heat their own homes.
But they won't have.
those initiatives that are put forward, I think, will be welcome to some people. Of course they will be. But what the government is doing and will continue to do is focusing on giving people the resources they need in their own homes rather than having to leave them.
Is that a good look, Minister? Cold people having to go to the library to keep warm in Britain 2022 and presumably 2023 after 12 years of Tory rule. That's a shocking indictment, isn't it?
The intent and the effect of government policies will, I'm sure, be to make sure that that does not have to happen. And welcome though these initiatives might be for some people, they're not going to be the only option. They shouldn't be the only option, as your question implies. And I'm confident that the package of help that's there and the package of help to come forward, Prime Minister will make real progress in that regard.
Finally, if I can get a word from you, you're probably aware in your brief as culture and media that festivals are very much on your watch. Of course, a lot of people have had a wonderful time at Notting Hill and at Reading and at Leeds festivals, but we have to look at the fact that sadly a life has been lost at Notting Hill. Armed police have had to bring order at Reading and Leeds, and it would appear one young man in Leeds has lost his life due to drug taking. What are you going to do about this level of lawlessness? This is handy, as you're the broadband minister. You can't hear me, can you? That is sensational, and the picture's frozen. So there we go. We've got the government banging on about however many £1 billion worth it is. A bank crash his gigabit, and he can't take the question. You can't hear me, but I'll be polite. Matt Warman, Minister of State for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport, talking about the progress of broadband, and the line collapses. But thank you for your time. It'll be nice to see what the government has to say about it, but let's take your calls anyway. 7:56 is the time. Kevin in Chelmsford. Kevin, you're on the radio. Good morning.
I just thought I'd ring and tell you my experience of lawlessness. On the 19th of April, I was coming home from a football match at Ipswich. My wife and I are in our car. Suddenly, on the A12 at Capel St Mary, a car hit us so hard from behind that our car rolled over.